We're going to start off with Lufkin and the KTRE sports director, Ryan Smith, who was at A. Martin as the Pack, believe it or not, they were shut out. Hey, Ryan, I mean, okay, if they were to lose, okay, but to be shut out, I'm really shocked.
Yeah, you know, it was just one of those games, especially in the first half of it. It was a defensive struggle for both sides of the ball. Had a couple of missed opportunities there for both sides. It was 10-0 heading into half. Could have been a 17-7 potentially. Port Arthur missing a touchdown in the back right corner of the end zone, just off the fingertips of the Houston commit, Kevon Roberts. Meanwhile, for Lufkin, it's been a lot of those missed opportunities just off their fingertips. Had another chance at a deep touchdown on a post route earlier tonight, but Javion Johnson just out of reach of Caleb Barraza. So that's just kind of how it's been for this Lufkin offense, especially when they got into district play. You know, you kind of saw it earlier in the year in that week 1 game. They jumped out in front of Longview, then go on to lose by double digits, and then against NAC, who they've looked great. I know they lost tonight 42-28 in the game of the week, but still they've looked great for the better part of the season. They were able to put up over 40 points against NAC, and then you know, you get into district play, you lose to Barbers Hill, then you win 2 straight, and then now you lose to a really good Port Arthur team who is still undefeated in district play. I believe just clinched the district tonight with that win against Lufkin tonight, because they still are undefeated, obviously, in district play. But, you know, going back to, you know, just the offensive woes that they've been showing, it's just they have opportunities, haven't necessarily made the plays for that, you know, these really great teams, these teams that, you know, make it to the postseason and make it rounds deep into the postseason. They haven't necessarily made those plays that you've seen, you know, especially last year's team do it with the way that they were able to really run through this district just a season ago. And, you know, previous really good teams for Lufkin, they just haven't been able to make those plays. They did have a chance, you know, in that first quarter to go ahead. I know he said in the highlights, had a chance to go ahead, but on 4th down, shoot, it even went back to 3rd down. You know, they threw a screen pass that fell incomplete. Was a dangerous pass, like a lob over the middle on just like a middle screen that just hit the turf. And then obviously the 4th down and 3 ball that Javion threw for a pick. Just, you know, questionable decision making from the quarterback, maybe from the play calling, and just missed opportunities, kind of exemplifying themselves as they've gotten into district play. And that's really a big part of why they got shut out tonight.
It seems like they're still getting used to Coach Absack, you know what I'm saying, in terms of what he wants and how they want to execute, because, you know, I think they were picked to finish high in their district, if not to win it all in district. And I think that's obviously being based off what they did last year. So you're thinking, oh, they got some experience coming back. But it seems like the continuity got separated from last year to this year. And I think what we saw tonight, that 31-0 shutout, kind of tells the whole story of the season for Lufkin.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I believe they were picked to finish first in their district. And, you know, like you said, a lot of that was based off of what they did last year. And, you know I've talked about it a little bit, and, you know, all of the talent that they did end up losing from that team. There's a lot of senior leadership from that team, especially when it comes to the defensive line. You know, you felt like once it got closer to halftime, the Port Arthur offensive line was just really getting off the ball well and really opening up a lot of runs. They did a lot of quarterback run and a lot of, you know, running the football late in the half, and that's how they were able to move the ball down the field. And when you lose 2 guys like Elijah Alexander and Zion Williams, I had to do the math on it. I mean, those 2 dudes, they were averaging 290 pounds and 6'3" and 6'4". That's a lot of mass at any point. It doesn't matter if it's NFL all the way to high school ball. You know, those were high schoolers weighing in and coming in at that height and weight, and now it's, you know, there's still a lot of talent on that defensive line, but to build that sort of mass, it's just, you know, you have 2, you know, brick walls in the middle of that defense last year, and now that you don't have that, and you don't have that size, you don't have that height to be able to sort of, you know, be able to stuff the middle of that defense, you know, be able to stop the run, that interior run, it makes things a little more difficult. And I think you definitely saw that at the end of the half and then heading into the second half, where this defensive line, where, you know, the Port Arthur offensive line was able to really get things going there.
Well, they really had their way. That is Ryan Smith.